Welcome to Engineering Influence Podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. And this week, we are welcoming in our new group of ExCom members who will be joining our executive committee come this spring when we have our annual legislative conference. And I'm very pleased to be joined by our right now chair-elect for 23-24, and then our incoming chair, Mr. Gary Raba of Texas. And Gary is a well-known person within ACEC. You've held a lot of different positions throughout the years, and you've been really a huge advocate for the political program for a number of years and really helped transform the PAC into what it is. And now coming on as our incoming, chair-elect right after Art Barrett and then Jay Wolverton, and then you will take over from Jay.
It's kind of like the book Spare, right?
Yeah. Right now, you're in the safety zone.
I am in the safe zone. That's
exactly.
Right.
But for those of our audience who have not met you or don't know you all that well, you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you've gotten to be this engaged with ACEC.
It really started when I was tapped to go to Austin, Texas, out of San Antonio. We had purchased. Mom and Dad started the business in 1968. And so this is the early 80s. And I got tapped to go run that office in Austin, Texas after the acquisition. And, when you're in Austin, that's the state capital of Texas. So politics is just constant, even though the legislature only meets every other year. There's a lot of committee assignments. And being a second generation engineer has been really kind of fun. Dad has his PhD in geotechnical engineering. Mine's a doctorate of engineering, but it's more business oriented. And I think I've said on this cast before, this is all about the business of engineering. And ACEC is the only trade association that's out there that does what we do for the business aspects of our business of engineering, engineering companies. So it's just an easy thing to fall into. It's an easy thing to give your heart and soul to and continue to foster growth and education and advocacy amongst all of our members.
It's an interesting time to come on to ExCom. I mean, we've been as far as it goes for infrastructure. I mean, this is still the belle of the ball to an extent from a legislative perspective. You've got the implementation of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And of course, everybody's looking towards reauthorization. I mean, really, ACEC is the time to shine for the organization. Where do you see and where do you want ACEC to be in the next, now with the 118th Congress just starting up, and moving forward?
Well, I think we have to keep the pressure on. Now we've got the programs funded. Now we have to keep the pressure on actually letting the projects, getting the projects off the books and put it out in reality, get it out and be letting, get it out to the design firms, get it out to the contractors, get it to the trades. Mm-hmm. Because this really is something that's going to affect and positively all nature of our industry of construction, build, design, construct, maintain. It's going to impact a lot of families just beyond what we have within the engineering community. So it's to keep the pressure on that, make sure we do that. And I think, too, it's going to be really important at the state level. And that's where our MOs come into importance, our member organizations, our 50 states that we have in part of our federation. We've got to ensure that those states are investing in themselves as well. Because remember, a lot of the IIJA is just going to be on the federal projects. So each state has got water problems. They've got electrical distribution problems. They have their own state transportation issues. They've got flooding and drainage problems. They've got environmental problems. The ones along the coast have got, quite frankly, hardening. What are they going to do to the coastal protection and coastal restoration for some of the storms that we're starting to see develop in the coast on both sides, the rains in California and the hurricanes on the central and Gulf and East Coast. So I think it's a two-prong approach. We've been successful at the national level. Now we need to bring that down to the state level and make sure we're able to get the states to understand they need to invest in themselves as well.
Yeah. And now that they have that, at least they have the long-term certainty for a multi-year, infrastructure bill. And hopefully, Congress doubles down and actually continues the investment and builds off of what they did with the bipartisan infrastructure law. States should be more willing to know that if there is that federal money out there, at least that or at least the language to determine exactly how this is going to be done, that they will invest in their own programs. But the importance there is, of course, having the MOs in a position where they can adequately and effectively advocate on behalf of the industry. And that is really the importance of the federation that we have, and everybody working together in unison with kind of a common goal and a common message. In your mind, coming in as a future chair, how do you want ACEC to communicate that message? How do you want the MOs to kind of engage in echoing and amplifying what we're doing here at National?
I think we're doing a good job on a national basis. We've got a good advocacy program from everything we have from our magazines or the podcasts that we're doing and the outreach programs that we're doing nationally. And we're teaming up with other trade associations. We're teaming up with our peer associations and getting the word out about infrastructure. Now we just need to take that, distill it down to the state level. And it's just a mimicking, but of a smaller scale.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Some of our MOs are already doing that. And they're doing a knockout job. Others we need to try to help. In one of Art Barrett's MO strengthening program that he has, it's not only about the organizational stuff, but how can they become more impactful?
Yeah.
And I think if we keep that alive and keep that sustainable within the organization, the whole MO strengthening program, we're going to accomplish that because we're going to help the ones that need to help. Not all MOs are created equal. They're staffed differently. They have different bucket of resources to pull from. But I think as a national organization, it behooves us to continue to advance the business of engineering. And if we do that, that's going to advance innovation. That's going to advance a lot of these things that we're talking about with respect to decarbonization of the whole construction and build industry. So it's just taking what we have nationally, focusing it on the local level, and then helping our MOs do that strengthening program.
Now, we mentioned the political program earlier, but I think for anybody out there who has not been an active member of the PAC or is kind of, on the fence, right? What's your message to those members, on why it's so important that ACEC has a strong political program to back up the advocacy that it does?
Well, first, I just have to say thank you to everybody that's participated, whether it was $5 or $5,000, regardless of what you did. Thank you for what you've done, because it has allowed us to communicate to the decision makers in the Senate and the House, and to communicate, quite frankly, at the state level, to those that understand that the nation needs an improvement in itself. If it doesn't invest in itself, we can't get better if we don't invest in ourselves. I think the key thing with respect to the advocacy program is that this past year, it's all about relationships, and we were able to cement relationships. We were able to do things through our independent expenditure PAC, or we had members do private dinners with some elected officials, just to show and just to reinforce, we like what you're thinking. We thank you for supporting infrastructure programs. Thank you for supporting investment in ourselves. And as our advocacy program grows, I think what I want to see more local engagement at the state level. State level it should never, ever be forgotten about. Nationally, we need to keep it up. Where it's driven down to the MOs anyway to figure out who they want to the elected officials at the congressional or the Senate level, who they do and who they do not want to support. I think we have to realize we can't give to everybody.
Yeah.
We have to be focused on what we do. And if we keep taking this focused approach, I think we win. Yeah. And we win by getting more investment into the U.S. economy.
Yeah. I think a lot of that work that's been done, both at the state level and the national level, from advocacy and then also the political program, it seems like a lot of the groundwork that's been laid is now starting to bear fruit. You mentioned the work that we're doing with our other trade associations, APWA and ASC, with this engineering public works roadshow. It seems like all that work to kind of build and forge those relationships have now, the door's now open. We're having two-way conversations with the White House. We're having conversations with administration folks about different investments. And the only thing that we can do is double down on those relationships and strengthen them and build them and foster them for the future, for when, you do have another election, or you do have, as we're seeing right now, the shakeup in committee assignments, rosters, the House, that those relationships that you make, that
Yeah, and I think, Jeff, referring back to our peer trade associations, I think one of the things I've been most happy to see over the last 10 years is recognizing we're not competitors.
Yeah.
We need to play together, and we need to be thoughtful about how and what we speak. Mm-hmm. What's the messaging that we're giving to the elected officials and to the people that are the decision makers
Yeah.
And I think the other trade associations are starting to see that.
Yeah.
We all have our space.
Mm-hmm.
We're all serving our space very well.
Yeah.
But in aggregate, we're still serving the engineering profession.
Yeah.
So let's forget about what my boundary line is or my sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in the same profession.
Yeah.
Let's improve the profession at the base level, with the education experience or whatever it be.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's improve what everybody that we have in the profession is able to go to and invest.
It's raising that essential value of the industry, the profession, everybody working together to make America a better country and to really just revolutionize how we invest, build, and just improve.
A common voice will win.
Yeah.
A fractured voice or voices are not going to win.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we have a lot to look forward to. We have a busy year ahead, 2023, and then coming into, looking ahead for your chairmanship. I think it's going to be, it's going to be prime time to look at reauthorization and all these different things. So
and a new budget,
yeah, and a new budget exactly. So there's going to be a lot, to look forward to. So enjoy 2 days of boot camp for an organization you're very well familiar with, but it'll be good to meet everybody and trade ideas.
And I would say in closing, if you're a small business owner, this is not an organization that's about super big companies.
Yeah, that's true.
It's about small businesses. And I can't remember the number about.
Oh, it's over 80%.
It's 80%.
It's a vast number.
And so where we are, we fit in that middle area, that middle range. Mm-hmm. But what we take away from it, and what I think my peers, at least in Texas, that have small business take away from it, is totally invaluable.
Yeah.
To the running of the business, the peer network that you're making.
Yeah. If
anything else, but we're here for everybody. We're not just here for a certain sector of our membership.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that our focus is serving the entire industry. That's whether that's a small firm, or a small family firm. Such as yours, or the large.
We used to be a small family.
Well, now, yeah, that's true. But that's another example. I mean, remember ACEC, you start off as a small family firm, and now you're growing. So yeah, it's that business edge. So it's great to have you, and thanks for coming on the program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And again, very pleased to be joined by Gary Raba, our chair-elect for 24-25. On the executive committee. And this has been Engineering Influence Podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. We'll see you next time.